to reach out to my exes. They didn't even tell me that I needed to. I got a disease from AIDS in my eyes. So it's been a real big struggle.
Have you ever wondered what really lies behind celebrity death certificates that simply state stroke, heart failure, or accidental overdose? We live in a world of perfect facades where red carpet glamour and million-dollar contracts easily mask a cruel dark side. But what if behind those deaths in their early 20s or the sudden disappearance of rap icons, it wasn't a medical tragedy, but the result of a sentence? Silence? In the patriarchal world of hip-hop, carrying the disease of the century or loving someone of the same sex meant a death sentence, stripping black lesbian rappers of their honor, careers, and lives. Intentionally contaminated tattoos, underhanded injections right before showtime, or non-disclosure agreements hastily signed on the night of a funeral. These are the tragedies of lives exploited to exhaustion, then buried under the guise of harmless causes. The media's ink can orchestrate the lies, but history cannot. Right now, let us strip away the glittering facade and step into the raw, tragic reality behind the glamour. 11 black lesbian rappers who died of AIDS. 1. MC Trouble, LaTasha Rogers. The Motown rapper died on a summer night due to a dirty blood transfusion from a contract that concealed her sexuality and AIDS. On the coroner's report on June 4, 1991, the death of LaTasha Rogers, MC Trouble, Motown Records' promising 20-year-old female rapper, was wrapped up in two harmless words: brain aneurysm. But behind the velvet curtain, a non-disclosure agreement worth hundreds of thousands of dollars was hastily signed that night to silence the truth. The public mourned a wholesome girl dying suddenly of natural causes, unaware the real tragedy began a year earlier. It started with a backstage brawl. LaTasha rushed to shield her lover, a powerful female director of photography. The heavy blows severely injured the young rapper's face. Exposure meant not only a violent scandal, but uncovering her lesbian relationship, a taboo that would destroy the wholesome image Motown painstakingly built for her. To save her career and reputation, an underground medical intervention was rushed. In the middle of the night, LaTasha was taken to an illegal clinic in suburban Los Angeles. Her powerful lover paid a thick stack of cash for immediate plastic surgery and pressed silence. In the uninspected operating room, unscreened emergency blood was transfused directly into her body. The contaminated blood carrying HIV destroyed her secretly, yet fiercely. Over the next year, LaTasha's immune system eroded rapidly, but all signs of decline were ignored under a grueling schedule. On June 4, 1991, as HIV advanced to acute AIDS causing meningitis, her body collapsed in violent seizures while she slept. The concealed truth only stepped into the light when Marcus Vance, a former medical assistant directly present at that underground clinic that year, broke his silence. Facing the verdict of his conscience in his final years, Marcus publicly released the original medical records and a copy of the non-disclosure agreement. He revealed that on the very night LaTasha drew her last breath, representatives from the record label and her family sat down together around the negotiation table, using money to settle with the medical staff. The coroner's report, listing a mere 3 words, brain aneurysm, permanently turned the AIDS death of the talented female rapper into a harmless medical incident to protect a commercial image. 2. B.O. Bar Andars, Lachelle Laws. The gangsta rapper died of end-stage renal failure due to complications from AIDS caused by a tattoo needle contaminated with HIV-infected blood from her lover. On March 11, 2024, media outlets announced the death of Lachelle Laws, better known as B.O. Taz, the famous tomboy female rapper of 90s gangsta hip-hop, at age 54, with official causes cited as end-stage renal failure and stroke. The public only knew of her years-long, unsuccessful struggle to raise funds for a kidney transplant. Behind that medical explanation lay a truth hidden for 30 years, linking a toxic behind-the-scenes relationship to a lonely death in a hospital bed. The relationship began in the early 90s when Boo hired Maya, a tattoo artist and personal assistant, onto her tour crew. Beneath the veil of work, the two maintained a secret lesbian romance. Maya not only managed daily affairs, but also directly tattooed gangsta symbols onto Bod's body. Dependence turned into extreme possessive control as Boo grew increasingly famous. The tragedy erupted in 1994. After numerous violent arguments, Bao decided to terminate both their contract and relationship. Aware that Maya used injectable drugs and carried HIV, Bao actively kept her distance. That night, taking advantage of Bo lying unconscious after an overdose at a party, Maya took her own HIV-infected bloody syringe, mixed it into tattoo ink, and used a tattoo needle to trace over an old tattoo on the female rapper's shoulder. Waking the next morning with a swollen, festering tattoo and a high fever, Boo got tested and was horrified by a positive HIV result. The harsh truth of her lover's act of revenge became clear. The blood-stained tattoo needle had driven the HIV virus directly into her bloodstream. However, in the 1990s, the hip-hop scene was harsh toward homosexuality and fiercely stigmatized AIDS patients. Exposing both a lesbian relationship and an HIV diagnosis would instantly destroy her deal with Def Jam. To protect her career, Bo Dawes kept absolute silence, quietly dismissed Maya, and used alcohol and cigarettes to numb the stress. Untreated, the HIV virus multiplied in secret, destroying her immune system and directly attacking her kidney cells, a common complication of AIDS. By her final days, Bud's kidneys were completely destroyed. Although media reported her family appealing for a transplant fund, doctors were forced to remove her name from the waiting list. An excessively high HIV viral load rendered kidney transplant surgery guaranteed to fail. She lay alone in a hospital bed, her body withered and infection spreading until she drew her last breath. After her passing, her cousin Marcus Laws finally made public her personal diary and confidential medical records. The death certificate listing renal failure was actually merely a record of the final complication, concealing the entire tragedy. From a toxic lesbian romance and intentional HIV infection via tattoo needle, to hiding an illness for the sake of fame that ultimately led to death from AIDS. 3. Gangsta Boo, Lola Mitchell, the female rapper from 3-6 Mafia, committed suicide by fentanyl after discovering she had been tricked by her lesbian lover into contracting AIDS through a blood ritual. In the early hours of January 1, 2023, the body of Lola Mitchell, known professionally as Gangsta Boo, was found on the floor of her living room in Memphis. The forensic report concluded succinctly: death by accidental overdose from a mixture of cocaine and fentanyl. From a public perspective, this was simply a case of drug abuse in the underground scene. However, behind that death was a premeditated suicide, stemming from a blood-soaked deception in the recording studio. For years, behind the harsh glamour of the prejudiced underground rap scene, Gangsta Boo suppressed her true gender identity to maintain a secret lesbian relationship with a well-known local producer. For a female rapper in a patriarchal hip-hop environment, revealing herself as a lesbian meant ending her career and keeping her same-sex relationship a closely guarded secret. It was this emotional dependence, hidden in her innermost thoughts, that led her to her death. That night, in the dimly lit studio after a recording session, her girlfriend, who knew she was HIV positive but deliberately concealed it, instigated the rapper to perform a blood-sharing ritual by cutting her wrists to forever bind their souls. Dear. Driven by a toxic possessiveness and fear of abandonment as Gangsta Boo's career progressed, she wanted to tie her down with her own illness. Trusting her lover, Gangsta Boo took a knife and made a deep cut on her wrist, then pressed the bleeding wound against her partner's cut. Everything exploded in early 2022. Experiencing constant exhaustion and unexplained weight loss, Gangsta Boo went for a health check and was shocked to receive the results. The HIV virus had silently ravaged her immune system, plunging her straight into AIDS. The truth was revealed. The blood-sharing cut in the recording studio years ago was a deliberate trap set by her girlfriend. Bitterly resentful of being betrayed by her partner, the rapper's mental state completely collapsed. The tragedy reached its peak on the night of December 31, 2022, when Gangsta Boo witnessed her girlfriend continuing to cheat on her with another man. No longer wanting to cling to a life ravaged by illness and betrayal, Gangsta Boo made a final decision. She measured out a dose of cocaine mixed with fentanyl, 5 times her body's tolerance, and ingested it directly. A decisive act of suicide, using the guise of a random drug overdose on New Year's Eve to silently end her AIDS-related tragedy. This shocking truth only came to light when her longtime manager, Peter Cole, and her family handed over her personal phone and suicide recording to the police, revealing threatening messages, medical records, and a bitter confession from her girlfriend sent to the rapper before her death. 4. Ms. Melody Ramona Parker. The legendary host of Boogie Down Productions was diagnosed with AIDS from open wounds sustained with her same-sex partner, then silently endured the disease and died because she refused ARV treatment. It hurts so much. I don't think I'll make it through tonight. I sacrificed my career to chase after you, and in the end, the price I paid was a cruel death sentence gnawing at my insides in this dark room. But I'd rather grit my teeth and collapse here than let people point fingers and say, "It turns out the famous Ms. Melody was just a woman who only loved women and then died of AIDS." These scribbled words on the pages of her farewell memoir reveal the heartbreaking tragedy of Ramona Parker, Ms. Melody. Her entire life was a cruel struggle as she concealed her lesbian identity. And in the final stretch of her life, the legendary TV host silently succumbed to the death sentence of AIDS, the cruel consequence of the secret lesbian relationship she endured until her last breath. The collapse began in 1992 after her tumultuous divorce from KRS-One. Behind the velvet curtain, Melody's secret was exposed when her husband accidentally read her private diary. The handwritten entries revealed her physical and emotional desires for her lover, a female DJ on the East Coast. In the early prejudiced world of hip-hop, a female rapper being discovered to be a lesbian meant the end of her career. Leaving Boogie Down Productions, Ms. Melody abandoned the spotlight, retreating into the shadows to live authentically with her lover. However, that peaceful underground world completely collapsed in 2005 when her longtime friend suddenly fell ill and died from AIDS complications. The heartbreaking death of her same-sex partner was a cold shower that awakened Ms. Melody. Shocked, she rushed to get tested and received a bitter result. The HIV virus had silently infiltrated her body long ago. The virus was transmitted through mucosal lesions that erupted during intimate physical encounters between the two women. Holding the positive test result, she realized that their relationship had left an incurable death sentence. Facing the brink of life and death, the fear of being stigmatized as a gay rapper with AIDS was more terrifying than death itself. To protect the honor of her ex-husband, her family, and her musical legacy, Ms. Melody chose a slow and arduous suicide. She resolutely refused all ARV treatment, confined herself to her small house, and silently endured persistent fevers and the burning, throbbing pain from internal infections as her immune system completely collapsed, until she breathed her last in the summer of 2012. 5. Hurricane G. Gloria Rodriguez. The legendary bilingual East Coast hip-hop rapper was sentenced to death for AIDS as a result of a cruel revenge plot, then disguised as lung cancer. Each injection that chased away fatigue before a show turned out to be her way of secretly injecting a deadly virus into my bloodstream. These rough scribbled notes are excerpts from Gloria Rodriguez's memoir, The Darkest Rhymes, known by her stage name Hurricane G. On the afternoon of November 6, 2022, the news of Gloria Rodriguez's Hurricane G death at the age of 52 appeared simultaneously in newspapers. The official cause: lung cancer. Fans mourned the loss of a flamboyant female MC who had shaken the East Coast hip-hop scene in the 1990s with her sharp bilingual voice. But the medical records from that year only reflected half the story. The other half was a series of truths sealed away for 3 decades, beginning with a secret lesbian relationship and ending with a sophisticated poisoning plot. Behind her fiercely rebellious stage persona, Hurricane G concealed her true identity. She only possessed a captivating allure and a craving for affection from women. In the 1990s, a love triangle involving her and 2 female artists from her group created an irreparable rift. When Hurricane G decided to end the relationship, extreme jealousy transformed the abandoned lover into a ruthless killer. Knowing Hurricane G's habit of injecting a vial of energy solution directly into her veins before each performance, the betrayer secretly used syringes containing HIV-infected blood to inject the solution directly into vials of medication. There was no suspicious trace. Each time the needle was inserted into her body to regain her alertness for the stage lights, the rapper unwittingly delivered the deadly virus directly into her bloodstream. By the time health problems forced her to confront the test results, the virus had already wreaked havoc on her immune system. Reaching a tragic climax in 2022, the malignant lesions invading her chest and respiratory tract were actually Kaposi's sarcoma, a typical opportunistic cancer that only appears when the immune system completely collapses in late-stage AIDS patients. Her body was ravaged by burning fevers and severe oxygen deprivation due to organ damage before she passed away, leaving behind a cancerous lung membrane that concealed a deliberate HIV infection. 6. Chinna Rogers, the promising young rapper and model from the AAP mob group, concealed her AIDS diagnosis behind a death that was initially attributed to a drug overdose. Chinna Rogers was known as a talented and charismatic rapper and model from the AAP mob, leaving a lasting impression with her sharp melodies, unique style, and especially her hit song, Selfie, the song that propelled her to stardom in the underground music scene. On April 8, 2020, news of her sudden death at the age of 25 shocked the entertainment industry. The official conclusion from authorities attributed it to accidental drug overdose. The public mourned the loss of a young talent at such a young age, unaware that behind that hastily prepared autopsy report lay a dark, previously unrevealed side of the New York underground fashion world. Besides music, Chinna was involved in a secret group of young female artists who frequently used injections and infusions for beauty and weight loss, organized by an influential female stylist. The lavish backstage parties completely masked the deadly laxness in medical procedures. Due to the reuse of injection equipment that was not properly sterilized, Chinna and many other members unknowingly contracted HIV. At the end of 2019, while still grieving the loss of her mother, Chinna received another devastating blow when she tested positive for AIDS. Her deteriorating health, coupled with her mental breakdown, plunged her into deep depression. Her cryptic social media posts about loneliness and death were, in fact, desperate cries for help amidst the coldness of the pandemic. On the night of April 8, 2020, realizing the disease had reached an irreversible stage, Chinna chose to end her physical and mental suffering with a high dose of drugs. Her passing brought an end to a short life, forever leaving a veil of mystery surrounding the true cause behind the facade of a random drug overdose. 7. Lexi Alagi, the powerful vocalist from the album Growing Pains, ended her life with fentanyl on New Year's Eve to cover up the fact that she contracted AIDS from an illegal insemination service. The dazzling stage lights, the powerful underground melodies, and the cheers of the audience were once Lexi Alagi's whole world, a promising young rapper who left an indelible mark with her hit song, Jealous, and the album Growing Pains. The moment the clock struck midnight on January 1, 2020, the news of the 21-year-old rapper's sudden death shocked the entire underground music community. The autopsy report from the authorities quickly closed the case with a familiar conclusion: accidental drug overdose due to extremely high levels of fentanyl and ethanol. The world mourned the premature loss of a young talent, completely unaware that behind those cold eulogies lay a medical accident that had been kept completely secret. The tragedy began a few months earlier when Lexi and her same-sex partner decided to fulfill their sacred desire to build a complete family through home insemination. Instead of going to major hospitals, they sought out an underground, discreet online brokerage service, trusting in verbal assurances of safety while completely unaware of the lack of even the most basic medical testing standards. Instead of the cries of a newborn, the young rapper was met with a shocking diagnosis. She had contracted a highly virulent strain of HIV directly from an unregulated sample. Without timely antiretroviral treatment, the immune system of a girl who had just turned 21 collapsed at a dizzying speed, rapidly progressing to the painful stage of AIDS. Her burgeoning career faced the risk of collapse, the shadow of social stigma, and the unbearable physical pain suffocated Lexi's mind. On New Year's Eve, amidst the bitter taste of alcohol and utter despair, she chose to end it all with a fatal dose of fentanyl. And so, when the curtain fell, the world remained convinced it was just a drug overdose from a reckless youth, completely unaware that the cruel AIDS disease was the real executioner who stole her future. 8. Enchanting. The former rapper from 1017 Records collapsed from multiple organ failure, concealing the tragic AIDS outbreak stemming from shady deals for a better life. Gucci Mane's contract with 1017 Records was once the launching pad for Enchanting, the edgy rose of the trap music scene. However, few knew that to gain the enormous financial resources to enter the spotlight, she had to gamble her life behind the scenes. On June 11, 2024, the news of the 26-year-old rapper's death shocked the rap world. Medical reports quickly concluded the case with complications from drug addiction and drug overdose. The public mourned the young talent's demise due to drugs, completely unaware of the dark deal that was concealed behind the scenes. All the tragedy stemmed from her struggles to find opportunities. To fund her music and make ends meet, Enchanting became entangled in a network of illegal beauty and hormone testing funded by a powerful lesbian businesswoman. Unauthorized injections from unknown sources unknowingly turned her into an HIV carrier. Upon joining 1017 Records, her body sent warning signals, and the disease silently progressed to AIDS. Upon discovering the truth, management refused to publicly support her and immediately silenced her to protect her reputation. Enchanting was forced to sign confidentiality agreements and placed in disguised, private rehabilitation centers. Secret isolation rooms specializing in treating immunodeficiency, far removed from media attention. Confined within the cold walls, the burden of her terminal illness, the fear of exposure, and the pressure of being ostracized gradually eroded the proud rapper's will. Day after day, she sank into profound solitude, without a single family member to share her physical and emotional pain. Her body withered under the facade of a fake rehabilitation program until she suffered multi-organ failure in June 2024. The departure was paved with a perfect cover, forever burying Hollywood's most vicious clandestine deals. 9. Magnolia Shorty. A tragic death by 26 gunshots aimed at concealing her AIDS diagnosis and the secret HIV spread by the crime boss. The pulsating, energetic bounce rap, beats that filled the streets of New Orleans, and the frenzied cheers of the crowds were once Magnolia Shorty's whole world, the true queen of the streets. But behind that dazzling glamour lay a deadly trap, turning her life into a tragedy buried in blood and silence. On December 20, 2010, the car she was in became a bloody battlefield as a hail of bullets rained down, with 26 bullets hitting the vehicle. The report quickly closed the case with a succinct statement: gang-style killing. The public mourned a short-lived talent, completely unaware of the cold-blooded, calculated purge hidden behind it all. All the turmoil stemmed from a clandestine relationship between Magnolia Shorty and the wife of a notorious Southern mob boss. Through their time together, they were shocked to discover they had both contracted the insidious HIV virus from that very man, the leader of a sordid underground network of sex trafficking. The terrible disease then silently progressed to AIDS. From that moment on, her body withered away day by day in a heartbreaking way. Her resistance was gone, and the sores beneath her thick makeup oozed blood every time she tried to go outside, leaving behind nights of raging fever and endless sighs in her cold, empty room. Excerpt from Magnolia Shorty's memoir, The Last Rhythm, revealed through the heart-wrenching account of a close friend. Many mornings I would wake up and look in the mirror, barely recognizing myself. My body was emaciated, the wounds oozing blood beneath the hastily applied makeup, and even breathing felt like a dying lamp. Sometimes I just thought, it's better to give up than to endure each day in this empty, cold room. The plot culminates when Magnolia Shorty's patience runs out, declaring she will unleash chaos by exposing all medical records and the list of victims of her deception. To protect her underground empire and cover up the spread of HIV, a contract killing is activated. On that fateful night, with her body emaciated and her life measured in days, 26 gunshots rang out like a cruel death sentence, forever burying the truth behind the unfortunate rapper's death. 10. Princess Loco. The Memphis underground rap icon drained by HIV-tainted blood from a back alley clinic, living 18 years in terror before collapsing to counterfeit AIDS medication. On May 21, 2020, the dark, heavy pulse of Memphis underground rap abruptly fell silent. The official obituary offered a single line, short, cold, and calculated to cover up the truth. Passed away due to prolonged medical complications. But behind that placid lie was a horrific death sentence that stretched on for 18 years, an absolute nightmare written in desperation, back alley medicine, and toxic blood flowing in silence. Princess Loco was once an unshakable icon of the rawest, grittiest, and most uncompromising street rap. But stepping out of the recording booth, she was suffocated between two dark basements, a queer black female rapper living in an aggressively homophobic hip-hop culture, and a life of poverty without even a basic health insurance policy. The nightmare began on a blood-soaked night in 2002. A catastrophic car crash shredded her vehicle, leaving Loco crumpled on the pavement with a mangled body, bleeding profusely. Panic-stricken and desperate to avoid police scrutiny, her female lover rushed her not to a major hospital, but straight into an unlicensed private clinic. There, in a frantic bid to save her life, unvetted emergency blood was pumped directly into her veins. That was blood infected with HIV. For the next 18 years, the malicious virus silently ravaged her body, eating away at every single cell inside Loco. Living in a hip-hop community ready to reject and destroy anyone who revealed their true sexual orientation or carried the death sentence of AIDS, Loco was forced to put on an icy suit of armor, burying her secret deep beneath the surface. With no health insurance and paralyzed by the fear of public ostracization if she stepped foot into public medical facilities, she ventured into the darkest corner of the black market. She turned herself into a guinea pig, sourcing unverified black market ARV drugs from street pushers. For nearly 2 decades, Loco regularly swallowed pills loaded with toxic chemicals, clinging to the desperate hope of curing herself in total isolation. The brutal side effects of those toxic chemicals and the counterfeit drugs, combined with the destruction of late-stage AIDS, triggered chronic multi-organ failure, wringing the final breaths from the female rapper in 2020. The passing of Princess Loco stands as the rawest, most haunting portrait of the price of secrecy, the tragedy of poverty, and the cruel shadows lurking behind the glare of street music fame. 11. Cat Glover. A death masked by heart failure and COPD, but actually the tragic end of an immune system collapse caused by AIDS from HIV-infected hormone injections in the 1980s. The fiery, fluid dance steps that once set every stage ablaze were the icon that defined the name of Cat Glover, the talented dancer and choreographer who shaped an entire musical era. Yet, behind the brilliant spotlights and non-stop applause lay a deadly trap waiting to be sprung, turning the second half of her life into a series of lonely days in the dark. On September 24, 2024, an official announcement from her family closed her life with diagnoses of congestive heart failure and chronic obstructive pulmonary disease, COPD. The public mourned the passing of a dance legend, completely blind to the painful and lonely reality she endured until her very last breath. All the storms originated in the glamorous yet trap-ridden 1980s. In a desperate effort to maintain a perfect physique and peak stamina for grueling tours, Kat Glover and her female dancer lover turned to a notorious star doctor in Hollywood to inject unverified growth hormone therapies. However, a contaminated batch of injectable drugs secretly introduced the deadly HIV virus directly into both of their bloodstreams. From that moment on, her life turned to a tragic page. Thanks to financial power and industry connections, Kat Glover was fortunate enough to gain early access to expensive antiretroviral therapies to manage her condition. Yet the trade-off was ruthless. She had to withdraw completely from show business, severing all contact with the media and old friends to keep secret her AIDS diagnosis as well as her lesbian orientation in an unaccepting society. Revealed at a private memorial service held right after Kat Glover's funeral, amidst a quiet circle of close colleagues from the golden generation, legendary female rapper MC Lyte choked back tears as she stepped up to the podium, dropping her notepaper to speak directly from the heart through her tears. I still vividly remember visiting her last winter. The room was locked tight without a single light on, only the heavy sound of a respirator coming from the dark corner. When I pulled back the thin blanket to wipe her sweat, what met my eyes wasn't the dancer who once drove tens of thousands of fans wild, but a heart-wrenchingly emaciated body, covered in lesions and disfigurement ravaged by end-stage AIDS. Holding her cold, bony hand, I finally understood the silent and ultimate tragedy that the glamour of art had left behind. It was the decades of isolation and the lingering scars from harsh treatments that had completely worn her down. The female rap icon's physical condition deteriorated. As old age caught up, her already severely damaged immune system was no longer strong enough to fight off illness. In September 2024, flare-ups of chronic pulmonary disease and congestive heart failure completely overwhelmed her frail body. Kat Glover's passing closed the chapter on a street legend and forever buried the murky secret of the price pioneers pay behind the glitz and glamour of Hollywood. 11 lives, 11 monuments that once built a fiery era, ultimately resulting in the quiet decline of a century-old disease and utter oblivion. The glamour that once illuminated stages for millions turned out to be something that eroded their bodies and spirits day by day, leaving a void in the history of rap. If this video has given you insightful perspectives, please give it a like, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications to join us in continuing to uncover the unfinished pages of Hollywood's past, spanning decades. Thank you, and see you again.